Hey everyone, and welcome to Almost Cancelled. I am Peter, that is Matt, and we are going to talk about Glow Season 2, Episode 2. It's called Candy of the Year. So, full spoilers for the episode, as always. So, we did the first episode earlier in the week, and we set up Sam being pissed at Ruth for directing the opening intro, which I assume they're not using, because he hated it.
Yeah, even
And
though it was quite good. It was what the show needs to be, but
again,
he's really proving to be a dictator, and if it wasn't from me, then it's not being used.
oh sure, like I said last time, I think it's also him acting out because he's
Yeah.
been second guessed by the network and so on. So they're actually recording episodes now. They recorded their first episode that we see at the start, like the sort of the audience coming in and them being asleep. It's that funny thing where like, okay, camera two, cut to the crowd. It's like find
We need
someone,
a lively,
yeah,
lively crowd shot, and some guys yawning.
which
Everyone
admittedly.
looks like they don't want to be there.
Which, funnily enough, like in actual wrestling, that always makes me laugh when it's a crowd shot, and they'll cut to someone, and it'll be like someone yawning, and they'll quickly cut to someone else. And I'm like, no, I saw it, I saw it, I saw the person be
On
uninterested.
pay-per-views before, during like a really bad match, they've cut to someone and someone was on their phone, and they didn't cut away too quick. So that was pretty funny because the guy on the phone didn't even look up to know that he was like on the screen or something.
Yeah, he's just checked out, just doesn't care.
Yeah, exactly.
At least in this case, you get the impression that the people they've got for the audience have just been kind of dragged in, not really
Yeah.
knowing what they're going to. So it makes sense that they're not interested. That's especially bad when someone's bought a ticket to a pay-per-view that who theoretically is invested in what they're going to see, and then just being like, nah, this is boring
You know,
shit.
in the person that bought a ticket, those shows are like 5 hours long now.
Yep.
Like it's a marathon. So like hour four, you're just looking to a refresh. You might need candy of some kind.
Oh
So,
yes. Look at you leading us into some of the premise of this
yeah,
episode. So basically, Sam comes up this thing because the recording doesn't go super well. The matches drag on. In fact, Sheila the She-Wolf refuses to go down. It's like, no. I've not. Like, I look weak if I go down now. I need to be beat up some more. Is basically her mantra.
Yeah.
And the match has gone too long. He had to edit them heavily. So he comes up with this new idea that they'll audition people. So instead of having 5 matches in their hour-long show, they'll have 3. And what they'll do is they'll audition, like, the Wednesday before the show, they record on the Friday or Saturday. They'll have them sort of audition internally, like in pairs for their matches that they've been set up for. And the 3 best will be the matches on the show. So a lot of this episode is the training between some of these pairs and then the actual audition itself. That's kind of the main wrestling, like fun kind of, okay, let's see what they do here. And poor Arthur is trying desperately to get away from this racist terrorist character.
Yeah.
And she's like, she's got this idea where because she says she's making like a fake suicide vest, and I'm like, this feels even more poor taste, Arthur. I don't know where you're going with this. But then she's like, no, it's going to explode, and then I'm going to come out of the fire as a new character. And I'm like, this is like some serious like Kane bullshit. What's happening here? And she's like, oh, I'm going to be the Phoenix, and I'm going to have like red and yellow streaks in my hair, and I'm going to have all these things. The old time bitties overhear this, Stacy and Dawn, and they steal it. The swines.
Yeah. That's why you don't say things. You keep your ideas to yourself.
Because they're doing a 2-on-1 with Melrose, and we see the audition, and Melrose sprays them with, it's like hairspray or something, but then she reads the label and she's like, oh no, this is
From
toxic.
3 Mile Island. Yeah. It's radioactive.
Yeah, and then the old time bitties like pull off their gowns and they reveal that they're now these crazy twins, and it's like,
Yeah.
okay, all right.
Duke and Ozone. Look right out of Mad Max.
Yeah, Mad Max. They're like Mad Max, like minor characters. That's exactly what they are. It's so that was fun, and and obviously the panel, which consists of Sam, and of course Debbie now, who's a producer. I mean, well, obviously we'll get to the big plot with her this episode, but and obviously Bash is there, so they're the ones sort of looking at the matches and like, okay, that was pretty good. Meanwhile, we have Britannica, who has a mannequin. In fact, one of the biggest laughs I had this episode is at the
Me
end of her
too.
match, where because Sam's kind of confused because they have like a proper little wrestling match, and it's a little bit shaky, but it's like it's fine. And then he's like, okay, but how does the mannequin, like, are you going to engage with the mannequin? And Britannica goes, Sam, we've only went on one date.
Yeah.
And I went, oh,
Well,
but
there was that joke, and there was the joke where she's like, well, no, he's my partner now because, and she talks about Sam, how he dropped her coldly and whatnot. And that was a pretty good laugh, too, just because I wasn't expecting her to go that deep.
Yeah.
So
It worked for me because I'm like, okay, is this sort of like new character thing? She wants like Britannica
yeah,
to have like a mannequin, and that's the backstory. Like, I mean, I got the joke, the stab at Sam, but I was like,
yeah,
okay, I get how this is part of the character. And then he's like, are you going to engage with it? And I'm like, oh, you're supposed to be the brainy one. Stop it.
yeah. It's Britannican. Britannican, the mannequin. Huh?
I thought you were correcting
No?
me and say it wasn't Britannica. You're just coming up with a name for the mannequin. All right, I
Yeah,
get you.
yeah, Britannican. But
Britannican.
no, I liked what her and Sheila were trying because it was more indicative of kind of where women's wrestling has gone, where they're just gonna try to wrestle. It's not too much of like, hey, look, we're women. It's like, no, we're just gonna go in there
Yeah.
and put a
I
match.
actually, no, I really like the start of that part where Sam looked over, saw the mannequin, and goes, "Oh, we're all about the gimmicks today," because he'd already went through the whole like metamorphosis with the bitties, and
Right.
it's oh, we're all about the gimmicks today. And then Sheila just goes, and she just sort of casually sitting in the top row, goes, "Oh, no gimmick. It's going to be a straight up technical wrestling match." And
Yeah.
it was the deadpan way Sheila stares him in the eye. She says it's going to be a
Uh-huh.
technical wrestling match. For some reason, that really caught me off guard, and I got a
Yeah.
good chuckle out of it. So full points for that. I was going to say full spoilers. I'm so used to saying that at the start of the show. Full points for that. That was
Yeah.
fun. So obviously Arthur gets turned down because like, oh, we've already got a transformation. You know, come up with something else. Then her and Carmen are like, we're ghosts. No, we're twins. No, we're something.
Yeah, it shows how desperate Arthur is to do a different character because she's just gonna try to do anything. And
I
and
really
then
hope.
Carmen, you find out too, has been training all the other girls because she comes from the wrestling family. So she even tells Sam like, I haven't had time because I've been helping everybody else. So they're kind of finding like in the same way that Ruth has kind of become a de facto like creative like behind the scenes that Carmen's kind of become the trainer
Yeah,
there.
and I really hope that by the end of the season, like Arthur does get away from the character. Like
Yeah.
she gets the chance to go do something else, and they finally listen to her and let her do
I really
something.
think and this is me taking shots in the dark, I really think that Debbie, as she's filling out her role as producer, uses that to like put Arthur over, you know.
Yeah, I mean, it could go that way where Debbie, when she finally starts to like take more power, that she fights for the girls in some way.
Yeah.
Maybe that could because obviously in this episode, the plot with her is that Sam and Bash aren't really listening to her. They're going out for drinks and not telling her, and they're having conversations about the work. And like, oh no, it wasn't a meeting. We were just out for drinks. And she's like, okay, fine, we'll come to my house for dinner tonight. I'll give you some bourbon. We can talk about stuff.
Right.
And Tammy like hears this and thinks she's invited as well, and she's like, no, it's just producers and stuff. But then Tammy overhears the guys saying, "Oh, we're not going to that stupid thing. We're not driving all the way over there." And obviously, this is us getting to some of the inequality here, where they're basically just like, "Oh, well, does a woman want a seat at the table? This is blah 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 blah." You know,
Well, yeah, and they're talking like she can't be a producer. It was basically just to make her happy as a star.
yeah.
And that's like because she's not putting money in, so she can't be a producer. And yeah, it's very no. We're the guys. We're in charge. She
And
gets no say.
I think what's interesting about this, the way they've shown this, is that the last episode ended with like Debbie seemingly in a very powerful position by shutting Ruth out the door, but now we see what it's actually like, and that she has very little power as of yet. But she gets some advice from Tammy about sort of just prove yourself to be essential, be useful. And she kind of does that by solving the crowd falling asleep thing by like saying, "Oh, they just need some candy. Get them some sugar, and that'll keep them awake." And
Yeah.
I actually did like Sam's response. It's like, call me idealistic, but I was hoping the show would keep them awake.
Yeah. Well, and I love too that she brings nerds in because that's the candy
Of the year.
Yeah,
Candy of the year, Matt. That's very important. Candy of the year.
1983. And he's like, "Oh, what is this? Like, what happened to candy?" And then Bash comes in. He's like, "Oh, nerds! I love those." Just the complete opposite of Sam.
Like, he's an old man. He's like, "Oh yeah, I'm a grown man. I don't, care about candy. I appreciate the effort." But it shows that she's resourceful. It shows that she had a good idea, and it's something that later on when they're picking the matches afterwards. Again, Debbie has to kind of rush outside because she realizes they're having that conversation, and she has to kind of force her way into it. But once she is in there, Bash kind of listens to her and says, "Oh, Debbie, what do you think about what match we should do?" Because obviously at this point we're talking about Ruth and we're talking about Yolanda, the new girl, and their act. Because that's rewind. So so Ruth's still being punished and wasn't allowed to wrestle in the first show. And she's auditioning for the second one. Sam didn't even remember to give her a match. And then she's like, "Hey, what about me?" And he's like, "Okay, fine, you and Yolanda, you can be the match."
Yeah,
in the
you
audition.
versus Junk Chain. And of course Ruth has issues with that, not because she doesn't like Yolanda, but she's still new. Like she doesn't know anything yet. Uh, and Sam's like, yeah, that's fine, make it work.
Yeah.
You're the one that goes out on their own and does everything. You
Yeah,
know?
and they're basically out for lunch, and Yolanda starts breakdancing,
Yep.
just casually, as you do, as one does.
Yep.
I suppose if you live in California, one does this. And
Well, she's also we find out that one day a week she works as a stripper, mainly just to upset her ex-girlfriend.
yeah,
Because it drives her upset, and Ruth finds out that she is a lesbian, which wasn't a reaction I was expecting from Ruth, but it actually felt natural. Like she's like, "Oh, okay, well, I didn't know that, but cool."
yeah.
And then they just get over it. Like they start dancing, and nothing's weird. And I thought that was a nice statement because we know that.
You could tell that she wasn't used to hearing that, but
Yeah.
it wasn't like a big deal after like a couple of seconds passed, and she said, "I was like, okay, fine, whatever."
Because I was like, I hope we're not going into this gay panic.
Oh
kind of
yeah,
story,
I mean,
you know?
I think they might tackle this in some ways, but I think it would have been upsetting if Ruth was
Yeah.
reacting in a overly negative fashion.
Yeah.
But her reaction is actually quite sensible for the most part, so
And that was good.
yeah, it's fine. But she's like, "Oh, that's what we could do. Can you teach me how to do this?" And there's some jokes here because Arthur comes in and catches them, and she's like, "Oh, you're going to be like a white girl, pretend like she can break dance." No, I'm going to be a white girl who can break dance. Like, oh, that's exactly what a white girl would say. Good.
Right.
And Ruth just looks destroyed. Like, what?
And the scenes of her trying to do some of the breakdancing, like
Oh,
when she's trying to do the worm,
the worm in the
and
bed.
she just can't. I was rolling. Like that was
gold.
good physical comedy.
Yeah, and then of course the audition, and it becomes this weird promo almost where Yolanda challenges her to breakdancing, and she's telling her, "Oh, in Russia only ballet is permitted," and blah blah blah, and they start dancing. And I was expecting it to be more of an ending. Like I thought like Ruth was going to go heel and like turn on her, like
Yeah, me too.
towards the end of the
'Cause that's what
dance. And
Yeah, because that's what we've been conditioned to as wrestling fans.
Yeah.
Like this is how all promos go, but this is still early in wrestling, you know. So
And that was the thing as well, that when Sam's debating, oh, but it's not actually wrestling, and like, no, but you said you wanted something to break up the monotony. This is something you put in the middle. You have the opening match, then you have this weird thing in the middle that turns out to breakdancing, and then you have the big final match.
It's always, anytime I hear somebody that's pretty smart about wrestling, they always say like it's a variety show that's meant to look like sports, and this episode really showed that. Because they're going to have the technical match between Britannica and the She-Wolf. And then they're going to have the super over-the-top Melrose versus the Biddies and the transformation. And then you'll probably have a more traditional wrestling match with Liberty Bell, because she's going to be on every show. Because she's trying to get...
Yeah, she's in the main event. The Welfare Queen is not going to be in the episodes in a match, but she's going to be like there to taunt.
She's still dodging.
Yeah, she's...
Which that cracked me up when they bring her out. And then put her in the recliner like it's her throne.
Yeah,
like that was pretty good. And then you'll have this with Ruth and Yo-Yo about the breakdancing. Which, thinking about it, that's not a bad wrestling show. Like you pace that throughout, and it's kind of what you want to see. So they're together.
Yeah, so they're keeping that plot running, and I think the scene with where Tammy goes to the dinner because she knows the guys aren't going, and they bond a little bit, and she gives her the advice. She gives Debbie the advice. I think that is. I think the thing for me that really struck me was the bonding and the idea that, because at the start of the episode, Debbie like walks in to watch the first episode because the rest of the girls are all watching the recording, and Debbie comes in, and there's this sort of awkward, because before she comes in, they're kind of making fun of her a little bit because she's the producer and she has better lighting than they do, and maybe not really, but that's what they think, that's what they're seeing.
Yeah.
And she comes in, and it's this awkward little moment, and I think that scene with Tammy was the start of like, oh, maybe she can not only bond with them and be a part of the group and not be this separate person, but in what we said earlier on, maybe she can start to fight for them, so they're not treated like shit, and that they are treated a bit more fairly. Because Sam, for all of his positives that kind of seep through, there's a lot of faults that are hiding them, and there's a lot of faults to things to break through, and we see that clearly in his plot as well, with Justine, who's in a fight with her. Well, she gets to fight with a random woman at her boyfriend's concert, which results in her breaking up with the boyfriend because he's just pissed that she started a fight, and she wants to leave. She's pissed at Sam for not like answering the phone, and he actually turns into a father, or at least attempts to turn into a father.
Yeah, I mean it's more fatherly than we've seen him act since he's found out Justine's his daughter, and he's like, oh, You know.
The performance here, though, I want to point out, because she's got like this big, cut in her head, and he's like, "Oh, is he T-shirt? This is how you young kids, dress your wounds." And he goes and gets a little first aid kit, and he pulls out the little, cotton or whatever it is to, soak up the wound. And he's like, "Oh, so this is what you do." And he goes to almost do it, and it's going to be this little sweet moment of, the classic thing where, sometimes it'll be a parent and a kid, sometimes it'll be a romantic moment, but they'll be in close, like dabbing the wound right up in the face. And he almost goes in to do it, and then he hesitates and says, and then you give it to the person.
Yeah,
that made me laugh, because it was so true for his character. It was like he's trying really hard, but he can't go that final step. So he's like, and you give it to the person. So it was a joke, but it was a joke with good dramatic weight behind it, and I appreciate that. So I thought it was solid.
I agree there.
And he's like, "Nah, don't go. You gotta go back to school. No daughter of mine will be a high school dropout."
Yeah, because he's like, "You're doing this on a school night," and she's like, "I don't go to school." And so then he snaps into dad mode and stuff. It was also interesting to see him trying to direct the show, just from that top area, switching the cameras and whatnot.
Yeah, so makeshift gallery.
Yeah, so that was good to see, because he's actually doing his job, but he doesn't have anybody to yell at, right? So he can be focused. But and then we also get to see him with Ruth. That she's still flirting with that camera guy a little bit, and she steps on the cable from the camera and it gets unplugged, and they start going back and forth, and they fix it, and Sam comes out to yell at him, and he starts picking up on Ruth and the cameraman. So I'm wondering where that's going to go.
Yeah, he looks concerned, and then at the end when he goes back into the gallery and he's looking at the monitor, and because right now he's got the camera back on, he's just kind of testing it, and he's kind of flirting with Ruth, and Ruth is doing the voice and stuff. He turns it off. He turns the monitor off. Does Sam, and that's how we end the episode. And I think that's a sign of concern.
Yep, because that tells me that he doesn't want Ruth there at all. So.
Well, no, I don't know if it necessarily says that. I don't think that's what it sent to me at all.
Yeah. No? What'd you pick up from it?
Well, to me, I think he's more concerned about what this relationship might lead to. I wasn't getting that he's actually just wanting Ruth gone completely, because like she says, she never got fired. No one did fire her. He kept her around.
Because Debbie comes to her aid in that scene where she runs outside to talk with Bash and Sam, and she's like, "Yeah, I'm sticking up for Ruth. She's working hard. She shouldn't be, buried, to borrow a term, and whatnot." So I don't know. I feel like I feel Sam thinks that she's stealing his thunder still, even just getting along with the cameraman, putting together this dance thing, everything he's throwing at her to try to trip her up. She's coming out.
I got more concern from it. He doesn't want to watch it because he's actually concerned about where this might go.
See?
He's being I don't want to say protective so much, because he's Sam and he's kind of weird, but he wouldn't want to admit to being protective. But they've had their moments in the past, and I think there's a worry of what this could cause on set. I think there's a worry that she might get hurt. I think there's all these worries, and I don't think I think it's funny. I think it actually parallels with his relationship with Justine, where Ruth has kind of become something of a daughter figure as well in his life. Mm-hmm. So this is kind of he's actually mad at her right now, like a daughter. He's mad at her. Obviously she's older, but he's mad at her in that way. And I think him turning off, it's like a parent being mad at their kid, and they don't want to look at them because they're so pissed off right now. But also concern, because he's literally watching her flirting with this guy. I don't know. I was getting a mix of these emotions.
Yeah. I also feel he's just mad at her because he's trying to trip her up, and she's not. She's actually good at everything. This. Her coming to wrestling has really changed her from being the struggling actress to, even if she's just behind the scenes, by the end, she's going to be successful at it.
Yeah. We'll see where it goes. We'll see how it is. But I kind of read that scene as a mix of emotions, and he just can't handle watching. But yeah. So that was the episode. That was episode 2. Of the season. So we'll be back sometime midweek with episode 3. So you can look forward to that. Let us know what you thought of this one in the comments below. Like and subscribe and all that stuff. Get us on the Twitters at mailed_fuzz for channel updates. If you want to support the channel, head over to patreon.com/mailfuzztv. over there, of course, you can support us and get some bonuses and stuff. You can also just see a nice handy list of all the shows we do, all the links to all those shows, and the audio feeds, so you can have a look over there. But otherwise, that is us. So thank you once again for watching or listening. We always appreciate it. Keep watching TV, guys. Have you got any vanilla?